I could only say that weighing it all down, when we first went into Normandy, there was 120 of us in our company and officers, and out of our 120 from the beginning, there was only about 6 of us survived out of that company. And that was up to Caen. And then you got reinforcements. They broke up the 59th Infantry Division to give us reinforcements. So you got the chaps from the 59th Infantry Division. And then later on in the war, they had the 50th Northumbrian Division. They broke down, and we had to have the reinforcements from the 50th Northumbrian Division. And as it went on into the autumn, they broke down non-combatant regiments. They combed for the artillery, they combed some of the back area units for infantry reinforcements. That's how short we was getting for infantry.
So basically you could end up with a cook next to you?
Well, yes, basically, yes. And of course, by the time I got back to my unit, I didn't know anybody. I knew the chap that used to sing Little Old Lady, and another chap, and the one sergeant. I didn't know the rest of them. They was all strangers to me. And that's from the period end of February till to, say, the beginning of May. In that period, all that lot had gone. So that could show you that the faces had changed all the time. You never knew what was going to happen any time. I'll give you an instance in Normandy. We went 30 Corps attack, they moved down to a place called Les Beni-Bocage, towards a place named Fleurs. Now the Germans had pulled back and we came into the rest area. Now at that time I was company runner. That means that I had 2 company runners. One company runner which would be the normal company clerk in the normal, and they put another company runner to do all the running about, and that was me. And I had to be with the company commander all the time. Now, within this house, because I was with him, I got a glass of wine, and he gave me some butter. And we dug a trench on the road outside the farm, and I remember putting the butter down, and all the pigeons come down and pecked it all away. And he said, "Oh, look at my butter." I said, "Yes, sir." The same night, we moved up to a place called Montchamp, and we had to attack Estrie the next morning. When we attacked Estrie, they nearly wiped out all of the 12th platoon completely. The captain, because the major had been wounded a bit earlier, I had to follow the captain, and I was so worn out running about all day long, and I was at the end of the column and they all dug in the ditch. And he called me, and one of the chaps said, "Leave him alone, sir. He's been running about all day long in the heat," because it was very hot at that time. He said, "All right, you on the end there." He took him, they never came back. They shot the captain, the other chap got shot through the stomach. That's how close these can be. You don't know. It's one of those things. You don't know. And then of course, by that time, we had no officers. Most of the NCOs had gone, and we came out, pulled out the line, and we dug in on the field and had a sleep there. For us, that was the end of the fighting in Normandy, because by that time the flag closed the follow pocket, and we was follow up all the way up until we got to Belgium, and the Germans organised and redug on the Albert Canal. And we went back in the Albert Canal, and I was in action then all the way through, right up till February. So, and the biggest time, I suppose, of the lot really was in Holland, because in Normandy, once they broke out, it was pretty rapid coming through. In Belgium, most of Belgium had been scarpered, and until you got to the other part of Belgium, the Flemish part, and the Germans had dug in there. and stopped us. So from there, of course, it was all in Holland. You could say from September, middle of September, right up to, as I said, from when we broke out from Nijmegen, that would be February the 9th. So from that time up till February the 9th, I was in Holland. That is the time I had in Holland. Now, a colleague here, he was in the transport, and now you can tell him what it was all about. He was placed in a place called Weert.
In Holland, you know Weert? Yeah, no, that's where. But actually, how I got there, I'm more fortunate than my colleague here. I mean, I was in transport as a driver, and we didn't go to Normandy till the 13th of July. The simple reason is that we was waiting for them to liberate Caen, because our company's job was to build roads. I was in what they call the tipper company, so we used to go to. While I was there, we was waiting. We was halfway between Caen and the coast. We was just under in the orchards. So where we. But anyway, what we was doing, we used to go to the quarry. Once they pushed out, we used to go to the quarries up in near Bayeux, and there was pioneers up there breaking down the rocks and all that. And we used to load up. Then we used to go back and start to lay the new road, because what happened is, they obliterated Caen, so nothing could get through. So we had to build this bypass right the way round Caen, and it was done in a quick time, marvellous time. But our major got the praise for it, not us. But from then onwards, we went. Once we gone through Caen, a few jobs on the way, we went in straight up into Brussels. The Brussels, we stayed there. Not very exciting. We're delivering coal to the officers' messes and all. you couldn't believe it, but you can laugh now at it. But yeah, coal. Anyway, from there, from Brussels, as they start pushing further on, we went into Holland, and that's where we went to Weert. We stayed at Weert till the end of the war. When war was declared as peace, and we stayed there for a while. Then we had a few beers there and celebrated. Then off we went through Germany, straight through along the Autobahn, straight into Berlin, and that's where we finished up in Berlin. And our job then, very exciting, giving potatoes to the Germans. you wouldn't believe it, but anyway, that was our job. And from then on, it wasn't exciting, but I got demobbed in Berlin because I was in the building trade, and London had been devastated, so I was released early, and I was glad to get out. So yeah, so that's all. Not exciting as my friends.
Well,
We had some good times.
Yeah.
At times we did that.
Yeah, you had good times, bad times. I remember many.
I always thought when I got demobbed, I was lost. I was lost for friends, comrades, and it took me quite a long time to get adjusted to civilian life. But I will say this, that I went back to Normandy for the first time, and I didn't really recognise the place at all. You've got lateral roads, you've got places like probably would be just the same as they were then. That was Bayeux. Caen was smashed to pieces, so I didn't know Caen. I didn't know the area surrounding the area. We went through a place called Shaw. In the war, it was a terrible place. It was smashed to pieces, and there was heavy fighting around there, and there wasn't a speck of anything. Brand new, built, rebuilt, and we saw the monument which was on the top of the ridge, 15th Scottish Division, and it was up there, and it had a map of all the area that we'd been fighting. divisions over there, their division here, a division over there, and all the thrusts and the German counter-attacks and whatnot, all on the top of this ridge. And we crossed the River Odin, and I didn't even recognise the Odin. It looked like a stream to me, but it didn't seem like it at the time. That was, and then of course when I came to Holland, I didn't recognise it either. You got so many different roads. We did go back to Best, or near Best, and it didn't look the same. Eindhoven didn't quite look the same, depending, I suppose, on which way you marched through there. I do know when we went up there, we marched through the Philips factory in Eindhoven. I do remember the Philips factory, but I can't recollect anywhere else. It's all the trees, probably the vegetation's bigger, more new houses built, trunk roads, by crossroads for roundabouts, etc., which was nothing like that when I was here. Especially Normandy, all I can remember is winding lanes and solid stone cottages, and of course they was all smashed to pieces with the artillery, and they was really stoutly built, and you had what they call the double hedgerow. They were solid. There was about that deep in the middle, and the hedges used to be either side, and I couldn't even see those. So where they went to, I don't know. You know? And places like when we go probably next month to Normandy, you go to places like on the coast, and you don't. I don't recognise them as they were, because they've all been rebuilt. You know.
It has been more than 60 years.
Yeah.
Well, it's a long time, isn't it? You know, 65 years.
On the one hand, it seems like yesterday, and on the other hand,
Yes,
it has
yes.
been 60 years.
Yeah.
I mean, when I left Germany, that was in November 1946. I left Hamburg. Hamburg was one sea of rubble. The only parts of Hamburg that was really standing was these places on the outskirts called Rubenkamp or Rahlstedt, Farmson. They were untouched, and that's how I finished up in the army. I was posted, our lot broke up as well, and I was posted as caretakers' wives from the last 3 months in Rahlstedt barracks. And when I went up there, they was all intense, because the barracks, they was doing all the barracks up, decorating them up and putting beds in. And that was the only place in the army that I had sheets to go to bed with. And a proper bed with sheets and blankets.
What else you expect?
I never had sheets in my life in the army. Never. You had these 3 blankets. You never had no pillowcase. And if you was in billets, even in the UK, you had a straw palliasse, a hard bed, or a bunk with 2 legs on, 4 legs on. You had no pillowcase. You used your kit bag as a pillowcase. And you got 4 blankets in the winter, 3 blankets in the summer. You never had no pyjamas or anything like that, so you went to bed in your shirt. Now the Air Force was more privileged. They had sheets and pillowcases, and I believe they was issued with underwear, wasn't they, for going to bed?
Well, they're more fragile, I think.
Yeah, well. I might have got sheets. So I got the sheets when I went into the hospital, but they were always over. You used to get sometimes a pass to go to Brussels, and if you went to Brussels, you probably go there and you would get billets taken over, and you would get sheets and blankets. But being as I was only a youngster then and I wasn't married, I didn't ever bother with the billets. I went somewhere else.
Oh. It's all coming out now.